YouTube? Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Avataro Sentai DonBrothers episode 22. So this episode picks up a plot line that we actually started in last week's episode that I actually forgot to mention during my review because there was so much else going on outside of putting a little picture up reminding you guys that I forgot to talk about it. But that worked out because this was the main focus this week and it gives me an opportunity to talk about it. Basically what it was the villain guy who is trying to figure out everyone's emotion was inspired by Yellow's manga and wanted her to draw a manga that would inspire him so he can better understand human emotions. And that's kind of the primary story of this episode. So all throughout it, she keeps trying to draw a manga that's going to inspire him to understand human emotions better, and it leads to a series of antics. You know, she draws one about a new student coming to class, and all the boys professing their love to her, and he's like, I don't understand this, why would they just fall in love out of nowhere? And she writes one about her transforming into a hero, all kinds of other shenanigans, and basically he's just not having any of it. None of it's inspiring him, and it eventually leads her to being like, well, I've basically had writer's block since this guy claimed I plagiarized his work, and I haven't been able to get past it. So maybe if I confront him, then I can get past this and write a manga you'll like. So they go track this guy down, who's in a bunny costume, like a really kitty, like preschool, like morning show looking bunny costume that's like so much so like that you would expect to see it in a horror movie. It's like, oh, this is a serial killer. And they find the bunny and then they do like a manga off where he makes them both write a manga in like a competition. And after this, she is able to write a manga finally that he likes, which is one with her and the female villain transforming together, and they have like it's like a dance thing or something. I don't know, but finally she writes one that he likes. And then they also have a bit about the bunny making them like a soup or a stew or something, and she's like, this is my recipe, you even plagiarized this. And so that's like the main core focus of the episode. Meanwhile, you do have a monster of the week who is made from this rich guy that's like, basically, from what I remember, he like has everything, so he's bored, and he wants interesting stories. And when he's not able to get interesting stories, he turns into a monster. That happens to everyone at some point in their lives. And he goes around trying to get people to tell him interesting stories. And that is one positive aspect I liked about the episode for sure, is I liked the parallel between Yellow being forced to try to create an interesting story and this guy wanting interesting stories. And in fact, later when they're fighting him, she's like, you don't know how hard it is to come up with an interesting story on the spot. And there was a couple little parallels in this episode that I liked, and I thought that was kind of neat. Like the other than the parallel, the whole story of the week, like usual, is kind of just throwaway, but I did appreciate that they tried to tie it together a little bit. The other main thing you do have going on is the continuation of Drogoku's story, because he's yet again being like, look, I want to be a part of the team. Like, well, you can't be a part of the team because you have this alternate crazy personality, and he's not fun like Stephen Grant and says late as gay is. He's trying to kill us. Plus, we hate you and you're annoying AF. And Don Momotaro's like, well, I'm going to give you a chance. And Gold wants to thank him for giving him a chance, and he says, well, of course I have to. You're part of the Don clan. He's like, does this mean we're brothers? And then, like, at the end of the episode, when they're fighting the monster of the week, he tries to help the Rangers, and they push him out of the way, and he finally, and you think that maybe he's going to go nuts again, but he ends up just saying, well, obviously they don't like me, but I can't let that stop me or affect me, and then he transforms to help, and then that's when Sonoe shows up wanting to fight Momotaro, I believe, and he stops him so that the Rangers can focus on the Monster of the Week battle, and he distracts Sonoe briefly in a fight and needlessly transforms into Kyoryu Gold. Speaking of, the Rangers also transform, I believe, into this 5-man, and I think that's the first avatar change they've done. You know, the 6 Ranger has been. I just mentioned that last week, how we hadn't really done it in a while until 6 came in, but then that was the first one they've done in a while. Like, as I said in last week's review as well, you know, other than being, like, legitimately really interested in how the mythology of the Gears is going to tie into the overall story in regards to Zenkaiser Black and possibly Zenkaiser before this, I just really do find the deeper we get into DonBrothers, the changes to be out of place. Like, I feel DonBrothers, outside of the Gears being similar, has really started to carve its own identity out to the point now where we do these changes, it feels weird and out of place, and plus I don't like shallow stuff like that anyway. And then, like, the two main things at the end of the episode are Drogoku seeing, you know, the Rangers finish off the Monster of the Week and all your par for the course stuff, and he's like, oh, maybe I need to get myself my own Robotaro form. So that's going to be a segue into us debuting his mecha next week, which I kind of liked. I think it was one of the first story-driven aspects of getting a mecha, because even though the Rangers getting their mecha, like the main Rangers, did correspond to a character beat, there wasn't really much story behind the mecha. It was just kind of like, hey, look, we've had these in our back pockets all along. That's probably how Gold is going to come up, but I like that there was kind of a segue into it, leading for me to hope that there's going to be maybe a little bit of a story-driven aspect to his debut. Then also at the end, Yellow reads the Plagiarist Mecha. She reads the Plagiarist Mecha. He's like, robots. So she reads the Plagiarist manga and is like, oh, it's still better than me, but I won't give up and I'll surpass you. And there's like a cool transition between like live action and manga. They did a couple of those where, because like a lot of the manga characters she was drawing were, you know, members of the cast, and they had kind of cool little transitions between live action and manga. And that was another parallel I liked, or at least I thought it was a parallel, of both Dragoku and Yellow being determined to not let something stop them. And in Dragoku's case, it's, hey, they don't like me, but I'm not going to give up. And for Yellow, it's, you know, hey, this guy's still besting me, but I'm not going to give up. And I thought that was kind of a nice parallel. And in Dragoku's case, I thought it was a nice bit of development that he actually didn't flip out when that happened this week and showed that he was putting his best foot forward. So I thought that was kind of nice. But to be honest, overall, this wasn't my favorite episode. I really did like those parallels I just mentioned, and I liked that it set certain things in motion for Dragoku's mecha debut and other things. And I did like that they tied this plot to Yellow's ongoing character story, but just the antics of the manga stuff, to be quite honest with you guys, isn't my personal thing. It kind of aired on more of the annoying side of Toku for me, so I kind of just wanted to fast forward through it. Again, I appreciated the idea of it, of making this guy's story to understand human emotion a little bit more tied to a main character and not just him running around smiling in people's faces weirdly. And I appreciated tying it to Yellow's story, but just the style of it kind of aired on the side of Toku that just not click with me. And the structure was also a little bit messy for me. So I would say this episode was a 3 out of 5. I think it had some good parts. It just stylistically rather, wasn't one of my favorite episodes. But that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.